So hello and welcome everyone. So we are the computations, and for our capstone project in the OHR Data Bootcamp, we focused on the attributes of the student loan repayment program at the NIH. So we know that we've already introduced ourselves in the main group in the beginning, but before speaking on our project, we wanted to formally introduce ourselves to you again and provide some context as to why we decided to join the OHR Data Bootcamp. So my name is Tiffany Doy, and we also have my partner, Francesca. Oh, you were on mute.
Oh dear, thank you for catching that. Hi, I'm Francesca Littman, no longer on mute. Thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome. Our mentors who assisted us through this project were Shima Danishpour and Jean Wartonic. So one of the main reasons that I wanted to join the Data Bootcamp was to truly learn a new skill that I would generally shy away from. I also wanted to challenge myself in a different area that I do not normally touch. What about you, Francesca?
Well, I want to learn more about analyzing OHR data and the best ways to visually present it.
So if you're unfamiliar with the Student Loan Repayment Program, also known as the acronym SLRP, it is an incentive that is used for either recruitment or retention of highly qualified candidates and employees. So the incentive is a management tool that provides a benefit to NIH employees and new hires to offset the cost of their and or their child's federal student loan debt. For our project, we wanted to focus on how SLRPs are being used across the ICs. We know that there have been other SLRP projects, but we wanted to drill down to identify how series along with grades play a factor and the frequency of SLRPs given across the NIH. Our approach to this project involved meeting with our stakeholder to discuss the project scope, gathering and cleaning the data to further analyze the attributes, compiling our results, and then presenting our findings and recommendations in a visually effective way. From the data standpoint, we focused our analysis on the last 5 years, pulling data from the WIT system ranging from fiscal year 2018 until 2022. We decided to focus our analysis as well to include general schedule, also known as GS positions, for this project, and not any other pay plans. One of the main conditions that we recognized during this project was that there's always a risk of errors when data is entered manually. We also found that the data when pulled was analyzed by individual SLRPs, regardless of type. So whether it was a recruitment versus a retention SLRP, or if it was an initial or renewal one. One of the challenges that we faced was determining and narrowing down the scope of our project. We wanted to differentiate our project from other projects done on this topic in the past. Another challenge that we experienced was avoiding not getting off the scope of our project as we began to analyze the data.
So first, we analyzed data by IC. Due to the variance of IC size, we broke down NIH ICs into 3 categories as defined by Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, FEVS. Next slide. It was important to compare like to like. This shows the total number of SLRPs from fiscal year 18 through fiscal year 2022 by ICs, and OD gave the most. You can see by this graphic the reasons we wanted to break down the distribution down by size. Our data would be skewed if we combine large, medium, and small ICs, since large ICs have a larger budget for programs like this than small ICs do. You will also notice that 5 ICs did not utilize the program in fiscal year 18 through 22. Next slide. Next, we want to look at trends. Is the program growing, and in which ICs? Overall, the program has increased 27% over the past 5 years, but broken out by size, the small ICs have had the greatest usage increase. If you look at the y-axis, you will see a different scale on each graph, so it is not a one-for-one correlation. Next slide. Next, we broke down the program by occupational series. Overall, SLRPs have been given to employees in 65 different series, and here are the top 10. Nurses and health scientists have received the greatest number of SLRPs over the past 5 years. Next slide. We then looked at the growth of the top 10 occupational series over the past 5 years and compared it to the growth in the past years. You can see that although in the previous slide, we showed you that the 601s, the general health science series, had the largest number of SLRPs given out. Excuse me? Is everything okay? Okay.
Everything you said. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Oh, everything is good. Sorry, Francesca. Go ahead.
Okay. The 343s actually have had the largest growth over the past 5 years. However, looking at the last year, the 343s went down 4%, and the 301s, miscellaneous admin and program, had a 33% increase over the past year. We further found that the 201 HR specialists had the greatest prospects for growth, given that the growth rate decreased by 13% within the past 5 years. The 201s specifically continued to show a drop in the growth rate within the past year. To mention, the 201 series did not grant SLRPs in 2018 and 2019, which contributed to their overall growth rate within the past 5 years when compared to the top 10 series. By looking at this data, we can identify which series we may want to focus on our incentive efforts. Next slide. Finally, we drill down to GS level. GS13s get the most SLRPs, but GS14s have the fastest rate of growth. GS9 was the smallest number with the lowest rate of growth. Next slide.
All right, so in summary, overall, the SLRP program is being used and has seen an average growth rate of 27%. What was very surprising to us was that even though the large ICs utilized the program more, especially given their larger budgets, the small and medium ICs experienced a higher rate of growth over the past 5 years when compared. We also found that when we analyzed the top 10 series, we found that there was a mix of both administrative and scientific series that received SLRPs. Astonishingly, though, we found that 201s, which are HR specialists, specifically have the greatest prospects for growth, given that their growth rate for the program has decreased within the past 5 years. And they also continued to show a drop rate even when we looked at the past year. Finally, we also found that there is an opportunity for grades to be more equitable. When comparing the GS grade levels, what was surprising to us was that the highest rate of growth from the last 5 years was at the GS14, even though GS13s received the most in quantity. We further found that the GS9s the greatest prospect growth opportunity. Due to such a small sample size, the GS5, 6, 7, and 10s were excluded from the analysis. Considering our analysis, we recommend that a deeper dive be done to truly explore how to increase the use of SLRPs across the ICs and how to help reduce the disparities amongst series and GS grade levels. This could also be used as a beneficial tool to increase recruitment and retention to meet the overall OHR mission, which is to recruit and retain a highly skilled and diverse workforce for the NIH. Other recommendations that we suggest would be to use these trends to predict future workload in the client services division, who often receive these incentive packages for processing. This could better alert the division on a possible influx of packages coming in to better prepare and/or disperse workload evenly within the division. Lastly, we recommend that these trends also be monitored over time, especially as the federal student loan payment pause ends after this month, to see if there is any difference in the incentive being used amongst the ICs. So some of the main takeaways that I have from this overall experience was truly learning how to dissect data and also the importance and the methods of data cleanup. I was also able to learn more Excel tips and tricks to help me in my day-to-day work. And what about you, Francesca?
Well, I learned how to improve my analysis of data in Excel, how to transform it through pivot tables, and how to best tell a story in PowerPoint.
So at this point, we are going to open it up for questions. And Francesca, apologies. Y'all, my baby is home from school, so she was in the background.
Well, my baby's not home from school, but my two cats very much enjoyed the presentation. So